Going on, everybody? Got a few more minutes before I want to get into things properly. Figure we go ahead and kind of go live here for the moment. Looks like got the net guy in here. Good YouTube channel himself. Happy Friday to yourself as well, sir. Hope it's been a good one. How is everybody? Who's in here? Get a roll call. Who's here? I'd love to know. Before we get into things, I've actually got a question for you guys this time, strangely enough. Something I'm curious about. See what we got there. Thanks to Alan becoming a brand new member. Let's fix that. Boom. Thank you so much for that, sir. Much appreciated. Excuse me. It's okay. iPhones are more than welcome here. A lot of people actually use something like Duo and an iPhone as like a pairing, which is interesting to me, but iPhone users are more than welcome. More than welcome. Well, how's everybody doing on this Friday night? We did our first kind of test stream of this last like Tuesday or something like that, in like the middle of the day. We wind up getting something like 40 or 50 or maybe 60. I don't remember. I think it was like 50-ish people in here. So I thought it did pretty well, and you guys seem to enjoy it. So hopefully we can get a decent crowd in here as well once we really get rolling. I was actually just reading a post here on Reddit about people using the launcher beta on Duo 2, which is interesting. This is the page here, the one that they linked to. And actually, I didn't install that one. I tried to install that one and it didn't. Oh, go away. And it didn't want to install. So I installed this newer one. I'm curious if any of you guys have done that and what your experience has been like. I just did it, so I've not had time to see any sort of change or difference there. Have any of you tried this launcher beta from Reddit that I'm talking about here? The one that they somebody posted there on Reddit? Anybody at all? We're starting much slower than the one last week. Where's everybody at? Come on now. We got 10 people watching. nobody comment. Nobody give me anything to talk about here. I mean, I just can talk to myself for a few minutes, I guess. So it is different in the sense that there's a lot of features that are actually stripped out on Duo. So like custom icons is something that we don't have on Duo, strangely enough. There's a lot of customization stuff that we don't have. Very strange. It's actually missing features. Now, granted, the launcher is doing a ton of lifting on Duo when it comes to handling the dual screen stuff. So it's doing more lifting in some ways, but it's doing less in others. And what's interesting here is that the launcher has been it's been just basically in the Play Store like any other launcher on Duo and on Duo 2. On Duo 2, though, the launcher is now going to be part of the monthly updates. You're not even going to go to the Play Store to download the updates, apparently. But you can go to APK Mirror and you can download this version. Here's the one I downloaded. Can I put links in the chat? Is that a thing? Yeah. Okay. And I installed it. And some people on Reddit were saying that it was like running smoother for them, but I just installed it. So I was curious if anybody had any experience with that so far. West Tech, what's going on, man? What have you heard about Android 11 on Duo? Is it going to happen? Yeah, I mean, the last thing that we're hearing, in fact, Zach at Windows Central talked about this earlier today on their podcast, that it's done. It's going through certification, which is basically where they just put it on their devices and they use them and they test them and they look for bugs. And as long as no big bugs pop up where they go, oh God, we got to fix this now, it's effectively done. The question we have now is Microsoft goes on vacation. Like the whole company goes on vacation for Christmas. So assuming nothing wild like that happens, they should be pushing it out very soon. Like it's no bugs pop up. It's done. It's ready to roll. So hopefully now, if anything slows it down and they find a bug they got to fix, does that push it into January? Maybe that pushes it into next year, but they intended on getting it out this year, and it's on track to do exactly that. So hopefully, I'm definitely going to cover it. I've had a few people commenting and like Twitter tweeting at me and being like, oh, you're not going to cover Duo 1 anymore and all this. You moved on to Duo 2. I'm like, no, I'm still going to talk about the original. When Android 11 drops, you'll have some breakdowns. I'll make sure and do everything I can to cover that as well. I expect basically what you're going to get is you're going to get the Duo 2 experience on the original Duo. So cool little things like the screenshot feature, which is like maybe my favorite part of. It's kind of crazy to say this, but it's like maybe my favorite part of it. If you don't know what it looks like, basically what you get here is when you do your multitasking, you have a screenshot button. Like, I love this so much because before, if you wanted to take a screenshot of like Twitter, you can take the screenshot and then you have to crop out this other screen. That's annoying. You could go into phone mode, take a screenshot, and that worked. Oop, actually went home there. There's a good old Duo bug. Look at all that weird stuff happening. You could go into phone mode and take a screenshot, and that would work fine. But now you can just do this and take a screenshot, and it'll just screenshot that app. And then you can actually go in and edit it from there, share it, whatever you want to do. So that's actually something that I really, really like about Android 11 on Duo 2. And that's, something that's going to be coming over. You're going to get the look, like the difference in the size of the notification bar and stuff like that. So there'll be some good stuff there, hopefully. Will it be slower? I mean, maybe. The 888 is faster than the 855, but the 855 is not slow, so maybe it'll be okay. Let's see here. Very frustrated about the stock camera app not tagging locations and photos. Yeah, that's really annoying. That needs to get fixed as well. And in typical Microsoft form, total radio silence, nothing at all. Nothing at all there from them. And yeah, you're right. It's broken. So basically what he means is, you know, typically like when you go to like Google Photos and you look at a picture that you took, you can see on a map where you took the picture. And that's a really useful thing potentially. You can see here in this image, like there's a map of where I took it. I picked at random where I used to work, a homeless man sleeping on the sidewalk that I, for some reason, took a picture of and still have. Google Photos. But we're not getting the location tagging. That's very annoying. 2 instances of Edge is super duper annoying as well. It's been broken on both of them for months now. We're radio silent, and that definitely needs to get fixed. Let's see here. What's up, Eric? What's going on, man? Seen you around for a long time, commenting. Good to see you here. OG Duo owner. Yeah, glad to hear you're enjoying it. Glad to hear you're enjoying your Duo too. Have you been having words? Have you guys been having issues with GPS on your Duo or Duo 2? I've not really had any problems with mine. Oh, that reminds me. That reminds me of something. I knew there was something. I couldn't think of what it was. We're going to sidebar here for just a moment. I had somebody. Okay, so I did this Twitter thread. What the heck did I just not do? We had this Twitter thread here where I tweeted at Microsoft and I complained that YouTube sees Duo as a tablet, so community page is disabled and the shorts button is disabled. However, sometimes you can trick it into launching it correctly and those things work. Basically, Android thinks Duo is a tablet, so that is disabled. I had someone then comment, Ryan here said, makes them nervous because that happens and it's annoying. I said, I'm really only affected by this one. That's actually not true. There's one more that I am affected by, and I actually discovered it just the other day and I forgot about it. On Google Maps, there's a feature called Timeline where you can look like on this day, here's all the places that you went. And that's kind of cool. It doesn't work on Duo 2, at least for me. What I want to know from you guys is Google Timeline functioning on your Duo 2? I thought it was on the original Duo. Maybe it's not. I'm speculating that it might be because it thinks Duo is a tablet and there's no reason for it to try and track my timeline on a tablet. Speculation, would love to know. Check your timeline, see if it's been tracking you. That would be cool to know. Bluetooth is still a little sketchier than I'd like it to be on the 2. And it seems to me to be largely to do with LDAC codec. On my Soundcore earbuds, if I disable LDAC, the problem went away. On my Palm buds, which I've taken out of my pocket and put them somewhere that I've been carrying, they're like 90% fine. But every once in a while, they'll cut out for a second, and they really, that should not be happening at all. Let's see here. It's not a GPS issue. Yeah, exactly. It's the actual app itself just not tagging it. Just purchased Duo on eBay for dirt cheap. Wondering if it's worth trading that in and making the jump to Duo 2. I mean, look, if you got Duo for like a couple $100 and you can trade it in to like Best Buy and get maybe like $700 towards a Duo 2, might be worth doing. I think Duo 2 is miles ahead of the original. Camera is so much better. It's just all around better. It's less buggy, more consistent. I think it's head and shoulders better. I would say if you intend on Duo being your primary device, like your only phone, yeah, I probably would. But if it's your secondary device, you don't care about camera, you don't care that it's a little buggier sometimes because it's not your only phone, maybe not. It's such a subjective thing and it's really hard to answer. But I have tons of videos already comparing Duo and Duo 2 and Duo 2 to other things. So maybe check some of that stuff out and see what resonates with you. Timeline tells me I don't see much. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that being the case for me as well. It's funny, I was thinking about this the other day that I worked this little side job like 3 days a week, and I literally work like 18 hours a week or something like that at this side job, because it's mostly just to get me out of the house. And like I tend to like grab lunch on the way home because I get off work there at like 12:30 or 1, and it makes me laugh that I'm like I'm basically, it's like that lunch was like a chunk of what the money I made being there. Like I feel like I'm like working that job to have an excuse to go out to eat, to get dinner or to get lunch. Let's see here. I would use it for work only, wouldn't use the camera. I mean, probably not then, man. Honestly, if you're not going to use the camera, you're probably going to be able to get by pretty well without that camera bump. I would say, I mean, use it for a little bit and see what you think. If you have problems, maybe go from there. Samuel, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that greatly. Better late than never, man. Do appreciate it a ton. We've got a decent amount of memberships here lately, and it does help out a ton. It does help out a ton. So since there's more people in here now, right? There's about 20 people in here now, I'm seeing. Have any of you guys done the thing from that Reddit page with the launcher beta? I want to reassess this. Have any of you guys installed the beta of the launcher on a Duo 2? And if you have you seen anything? Have you noticed anything at all? So I just installed it on mine like 10 minutes before I went live. Excuse me. So I've not really had time to like see anything, but like people on Reddit are saying things like animations are more responsive, less issues. Yeah, in general. Daniel Rubino actually said something similar, that it felt smoother to him on the Windows Central podcast. I kind of get caught up in this stuff where I'm like, it's like an update comes out and like, oh, feels faster. I'm like, no, it don't. Like, it cracks me up because an update will come out that will literally explicitly say it's a security update and nothing more, and people will say it feels faster. Like, no, it doesn't. It's a placebo. Don't feel like anything. Tried to install the beta earlier this morning. Have seen no improvements. App animations are still definitely not working for me either. And this, I'm hoping, gets fixed in December. Camera got turned sideways. When you open up an app, it just opens. But when you close it, you get the animation. But when you open it, just nothing. Nothing happens at all. It just pops into existence, and that's annoying. And that definitely is not fixed in this beta. Hopefully, it gets fixed with the December update. Apparently, it's supposed to. Who knows? Thank you. I love that comment. I appreciate it a lot. Microsoft is notorious for updates breaking things. Yeah. Yeah, they definitely are. They've not got the greatest track record with that kind of stuff. Wherever I go, get asked about Duo, I had a work happy hour. It just blew my colleagues away. Yeah, it gets a weird reaction. Like, I feel like, with the pandemic, gosh, I was about to say pandemic slowing down, but now there's Omicron, and maybe I shouldn't jinx things. But like, we're like Thanksgiving. I'm using it, and I was having like family members being like, what is that? Like, one saw my wife's Z Flip, and they were like, that's really cool. But then they saw my dual screen phone, and they literally said, that's pretty cool, but that is way cooler. People have no idea that it exists largely. Like, I feel like we talk so much about how like it got off to a bad start and bad taste in people's mouth, and doesn't, whatever. Most people don't know this thing exists. Most people have no clue. So all the bad stuff that's happened really doesn't even matter because no one knows about it. And I think that's what Microsoft is kind of like, banking on, is that, yeah, like we'll get it right. Maybe like Gen 3 will be really, really good. And then we'll start really publicizing, and the other two won't even really be relevant. It doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt them. They've got plenty of money in the bank. It doesn't matter at all to them. Waiting on Duo 2. Waiting for the Duo 2 to lower in price, hoping it will have some. I hate to tell you this, but two things. One, I hope it doesn't do what the first one did, because that means disaster has struck a second time. But two, I don't think it's going to. I don't think we're going to see some crazy dropout out of the gate like we did on the first one. I think that they're going to let this one hang steady for a while, and I think it's so much better that I think that they're probably smart to do so. I'm unable to install different versions of the launcher APK after installing the one from Reddit. Older or newer versions of the APK simply state app not installed. That's interesting. So what you may need to do is you may need to uninstall updates. Like go into that app and just like uninstall it, and it'll reset your launcher, which sucks. And we don't have any way to back these things up on Duo, which is idiotic. But whatever. If you did that, it should reset things and get you back to normal. What's going on, Dan? Hi. Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, if we saw some kind of a drop at 6 months, you know, but it's not gonna. Do I think that in Duo, the original, after 6 months, where was it at? Like half price? Like I don't think that's going to happen. But, and if it does happen, that's a really, really bad sign. It's a really, really bad sign for things did not improve. It's a long shot, I know. Yeah, I get where you're coming from, though. I mean, you can do what some people have done and try and find a Duo on eBay for like $200 and then go to Best Buy and do a trade-in. I think people do very well with that strategy. I'm curious though with that beta. I'm curious to see what winds up happening. I really cannot wait for these updates to drop. I mean, it's December 3rd now. When was the last update for Duo? When did it drop? Let's see here. It was November the 19th, October the 22nd, and November 19th. So realistically, we probably have like a couple of weeks before it's going to happen. So thank you. I appreciate that. $4.99. I like the it's not showing this. You can see it in the chat though. There's some sort of creepy man yelling and crying. Did you get to choose that? Was that something that you picked? And if so, why did you pick that one? Super chats are always welcome, by the way. Always welcome. Of course. Who would turn down free money? But you know what, though? It's just saying we're probably a couple weeks out from the next update. But the holidays coming up, I mean, they're likely to either push it out early or it's going to miss it and it's going to be at the very end of the month. So maybe it'll come sooner with the holidays and so forth. Well, now I just need to know why you picked the shocked green man. Okay, I mean, I guess that's fair enough. Notice my screen showing dark gray instead of black backgrounds when launching apps. The gray then goes to black as it should. Turn battery, save on, and then stop. That is very weird. That is very strange. So you're launching an app. I'm not even sure what to make of that. Downloaded, installed. Notice my icons now move from screen to screen correctly. Like, are you talking about the ones on like the taskbar, or just actually like swiping back? Okay, on the bottom row. Yeah, that's always been a weird Duo problem where sometimes it just doesn't happen. This isn't a stupid question. Has anyone found a keyboard that works effectively in landscape mode? Seems like every keyboard cuts off the space bar. What do you meant to say? So you're talking about in landscape mode, you're talking about like rotated like that? Or in normal book mode? I'd be curious. Video to Puerto Rico a month ago when I got some really nice shots. Yeah. Videos even with Gcam. Yeah, the video's not not great. But the pictures, I mean, I consistently am able to take photos that I don't hate. Actually, speaking of Gcam, I took this picture the other night using the Gcam port, okay? This is, like, you can see here, that's, I believe that might have been the moon. Maybe it's a star. Probably think it's just a star. That's a star. Or a satellite, probably more accurately, because I think the moon's way bigger than that in this image. You can see how the sun's going out. It was relatively dark. And, I mean, It's pretty good. Like, that's pretty good for being in the dark. I felt pretty happy about that. So I continue to be pleased with the camera performance. But yes, you're right. Video is not good. It's the exposure has a hard time. It's just not great. Okay, so you're looking for a keyboard that there's a space bar. I don't even know because I almost never type in this orientation. Does Gcam cut off when you're sitting like this? Gcam, Gboard. So Gboard doesn't cut the space bar off. Gboard is just what I use, period. Seems to just be my go-to. I feel like the auto correction is just the best on Gboard. So have you had issues with Gboard? Yeah, I don't know what to make of that, man. It's very strange. Thank you. They are pretty dogs. I think I can actually show you. I took a picture first without using. I tried it first with just the normal camera, and it looked terrible. This is the stock camera app. Look how bad that. I mean, I was in a different orientation, but like it's terrible. To go from that to my trash, so I have to get rid of this to go back to it. But to go from that to that is just wild. And all that is software. You know, like that tells you to me everything I need to know that like they can fix the software eventually. And there's so much room to grow. Spectacular Gadgets. Happy Friday to you as well. Another great YouTube channel to check out. Definitely give them a look as well. This was taken on Duo too. Using a Gcam port, which I have publicized on a couple of different videos. And it does a really good job. I basically what I do is I use the stock camera app for everything. And then if I'm in low light, I just pull out that Gcam port and go to night sight. And that's what I use for that. Are you just as disappointed as me that MKBHD just doesn't get Duo? He misses the point of it completely when he's normally really perceptive on tech. Yeah, I think I had a little bit of disappointment there. So I'll preface things this way. Marques Brownlee is like the creme de la creme of tech videos. His stuff it looks better and sounds, it's really, really good. And he gets so much viewership, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. But Duo 2 and Duo are clearly not targeting him. I mean, maybe it kind of is, but like he has no interest in Duo. He doesn't care about a dual screen phone, and he doesn't like. I'll give you a good example. We tested the LG V60 with the dual screen case, and I gave it to my wife to test with the dual screen case, and I said, "Hey, try it out." Within a week, she was like, "I am literally never using the other screen. I'm using it like a normal phone." It is, and some people. Like my wife, if I put another monitor in her setup in there, would she use it? I don't know. I use my dual monitor constantly. That is how my brain works. I love having 2 or 3 or 4 tasks going. Some people don't operate that way. So you hand this phone to some people are going to open it and go immediately see it and go, "Oh my God, I need that. That is exactly what I need." The first time I saw Surface Duo, I knew it made perfect sense to me. Other people are going to see it and go, "Why would you want that?" I think Marques is a person that says, "Why do you want that?" I don't think it makes any sense at all to him. And because of that, his videos reflect his, like, I don't think he was unfair or harsh, really. He said a couple of things that I think aren't true. Like, I think he called the camera a 3 out of 10, which is just not true. I just don't think he cares. You know, I just don't think that's something that he's into. And I tweeted something the other day that if you are reviewing a device that you don't care about, like when someone emails me and says they want to send me a heart rate monitor and they want me to review it, I'm not going to do that because I don't have any interest in that. What could I possibly add to the conversation about a product that I don't care about? So sometimes I wonder, like, maybe we just shouldn't have, I hate to say that because I respect Marques and I love his work. but I'm almost like maybe he just shouldn't have reviewed it, or not reviewed it because it wasn't a review, but you know what I mean. Problem for me is I have the Galaxy S21, so I'm used to incredible pics and videos. So I want to have the Duo as a secondary device. So the S21, especially if it's the Ultra, is a phenomenal camera, and the video is going to annihilate Duo 2. But I went from a Z Fold, which has a pretty good camera, and I'm fine for the most part. It's good enough for me. It's good enough that I never think about the camera being terrible. So, but you may be different. You know, you may be like, man, S21 was way better, and have a hard time with it. Yes, but not in low light. In low light, the night sight is the only way to go for me. There is no way I could have taken that picture and edited it at all and made it look half as good as the night sight version. In normal pictures, I use the stock app. In night sight, there's no editing you could possibly do. He is, and that is 100% true, and that's totally valid. He targets. Look, I target a niche. I target a very narrow niche. Marquez targets hundreds of millions of people. So fair enough. Do I think the Z Flip 3 is do you think the Z Flip is less worth it versus the Duo? Super subjective. So like, you know, for $1,000, Jesse loves it. If you're the right person, it really comes down to just what your values are and what you want. For me, I think the Z Flip is very cool, but I wouldn't be my daily phone. If I wasn't using Duo, I would be using my Fold 100%. This would be my device if I wasn't using Duo. So for me, Duo is more worth it. For Jessie, if I was like, hey, I want you to use this for a month, she would be like, why are you doing this to me? Please, please don't make me do that. So it's going to come down to your own wants and needs. Marquez seems to be fair, pointing out things he doesn't like instead of trashing. Yeah, for sure. His video was I mean, when you compare it to some of the other videos out there, it was fine. It was quite fair. Let's see here. Love the LG G8X because of the dual screen. Yeah, I thought that, I mean, so I tested it on the V60, like I said, and I thought it was quite good. My only problem with it, and this is very subjective as well, I really like how wide the screens are on Duo. And having two, like, one narrow screen is fine, two narrow screens is better, two wide screens like that is best to me, but that's a subjective thing. Yeah. Once you get used to having a dual screen device, even going to the Fold was a little weird at first. It's such a game changer for me. Yeah, man. DS simulators. I made that video doing some gaming stuff on it. It's really good on the Duo. Let's see here. Yeah, for sure. The S20 Ultra cameras are way... I mean, the Fold 3 cameras are the same as the Fold 2 cameras. They're just 12 megapixel cameras. They're fine. I mean, and I've taken some very good pictures with it. I think, like, a lot of people kind of trash the Fold's cameras, and like, we're getting to a place now where, like, the Fold's cameras in a vacuum, people would be like, wow, that's a really good camera. But then you're like, doesn't have a periscope 10x zoom. It's like, yeah, I mean, I guess. But like, you can take some really good pictures with it though. Like I use the Pro mode all the time. I would use Pro mode and I would take these macro pictures. People are like, doesn't have a macro lens. You don't need one. You can just use Pro mode and do and set a manual focus and then zoom in, and you're gonna get a very similar experience to having a macro camera. And actually, I think that might have been a Duo picture actually. That was a Duo picture. That was a Duo 2 picture. Let me find one of my macro pictures on the Fold, because they're really, like, they're surprisingly good. Surprisingly good. Like, how about this? That was taken on a Z Fold 2 in manual mode. When people are like, oh, the camera's not very good, it's like, I don't know about that. Like, that's... Let it clear up. There we go. That's pretty good. Look at the bokeh. I was super pleased with it, but you know, whatever. People are gonna complain and so forth. Z Flip has, I think, yeah, there's been some sales on it for sure. Got Z Flip yesterday. Battery is crazy bad. That's interesting. My wife gets through the day. It's off the charger usually like 7:30, and it goes back on the charger at night, and she makes it through the day. I think she normally gets like 3 or 4 hours of screen time. She's not like a super heavy user, but she gets through the day okay. But, you know, your use may vary, and maybe, you know, something that you can kill very quickly. I also hate the under display camera on Fold 3 for a couple of reasons. One, the quality of it is absolute trash. It looks terrible. Takes awful pictures. But then second, for me, I've got some sensory issues. And when you're looking at it on a white screen, it looks like a lattice effect, and it looks like it's almost flickering. And it causes in me near immediate eye strain, headache, nausea. Like it's horrible. I actually made a video talking about this, just basically to say, if you might have sensory issues, this is something that if you're going to buy, like, I'm glad I didn't buy the Z Fold 3, because I would have either had to disable the UDC, or I would have returned it, because there's no way I could use it as it was. There's no way. Just, you know, that's a me problem. Let's see here. How do we get Microsoft's attention on the issues we all know about? Even Zach and Dan can't get through to them. I don't know if y'all have any ideas. I'm open to it. I've tried tweeting and tagging. I don't have a huge reach. I did a Twitter thread one time that, God, I don't know how many retweets and likes it got. It was hundreds and hundreds, and no official response at all. But you know, y'all got any ideas? I'm open to it. Y'all want to see something weird? This is a weird thing. This always freaks me out whenever this happens. I got a notification on Twitter from Fronttron. You guys, I got like 10,000 followers, and he followed me the other day. How cool is that? He leaks a bunch of stuff. I've cited his work multiple times. That's pretty weird. Pretty strange. Don't know how he even knows I exist, let alone follows me. Whatever. Another member. Good night, guys. You guys are absolutely crushing it tonight. Thank you. Thank you so much. How many members am I up to at this point? I don't even know. Several. After Z Fold 1 and 2, Z Flip 3 Razor, OG Duo, I'm daily driving the Mate X. Okay. Yeah. Hey, the Mate devices, if y'all don't know about the Mate X, I guess you just pronounce it XS. So is that the Mate XS? Is that the one that folds other way from the Z Fold? It is, isn't it? It folds the other way around? Because they called the other one the X2. That's the one that folds the right way. Shouldn't say the right way. That's the one that folds like the Fold does. Like, that's this one, right? Which I thought was a pretty cool design. You got your cameras there. You don't have to have a selfie camera, because you just use that. You just flip it around and use that instead. That's a pretty cool design. Now, the Mate, I believe it's the Mate X2. Yeah, that folds around like the Fold and has just another screen. Took that approach. So that's interesting. With the XS, are you concerned about durability over time? Are you concerned about, my concern is this region that's on the corner getting scratched over time. Is that something you're concerned with? And if it is, what do you think? Has that happened for you? I'm very curious about that. Okay. Update on Duo 2 Dual SIM. Wanted this so I could get SMS from both of my accounts. It's a no-go. Interesting. Tried T-Mobile Store, and it would only do one or the other, eSIM or physical SIM. Huh. That's it. See, this is something that, like, I don't know why it's been so hard to get like a definitive answer on, because I swear I've seen people on Reddit saying, "Oh yeah, you can have both sims active at once." Maybe I'm crazy, but I swear but then like it's so hard to get a clear answer, and I wonder, is it a carrier problem? Just very strange. You would think you'd be able to just operate as a standard. I mean, you're talking about, like, it's a dual screen device and it's a work device. That should just work. That's something that should just function, because so many people are gonna, want to buy this thing as a work device. They got their personal line and their work line. It's a dual screen device. It makes total sense that you could just multitask and do both. There you go. I don't have that problem. I was able to use a physical sim and an AT&T sim. The data can only be active on one, but able to get text calls from the number. So is it a T-Mobile problem? Maybe that's why I'm getting back and forth, not getting a solid answer. I'm glad you guys are saying this stuff, though, because this is helpful. That is very, very strange. You think Duo 1 is going to get Android 11 update? There's only 4 weeks left. Yeah, I do. It is going to get the update. So, like, I'll briefly recap. Android 11 is done. It's being bug checked. And as long as no bugs pop up that need to be fixed, it should be out very, very soon. Hopefully the holidays don't get there, and then that would push it back because they all go on vacation. But it is coming. As long as nothing crazy happens, we should have it this month. I have Duo 1. It's almost perfect, except the fact that the charging port started cracking. The black screen sometimes turns on during phone. Yeah. So the black screen bug was irritating as all get out to me on the original Duo, and my charging port cracked along. You want to see something really weird? I might have mentioned this already, but somehow, so when my charging port broke off, I set the little bit of plastic in front of my monitor, and somehow I have managed to, come on, camera, please. Well, whatever. I've managed to keep the piece of plastic just sitting there as a monument to the failure. There's an error code showed on the phone, and the search showed a chat in Microsoft Form. Very strange. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Rubino did also talk about it. Going back to the Mate XS, worried about the thing getting scratched. Let's see here. Yeah. Airline trapped inside, had a scratch all over. Yeah. So, I mean, it's softer than regular glass. I don't know. I'd be a little bit paranoid about it, but maybe it'll be all right. Maybe it'll be fine. Also, skin, bumper. This is probably one of my favorite things about Duo, is that, like, people like, do you run a screen protector? And I don't, because most of your scratches occur in your pocket. And that's not going to happen here because it's closed. So nothing's going to scratch the screen because it can't get to it. I really like it. It's crazy how inconsistent this is. Did somebody else already say Verizon was working for them? AT&T. So T-Mobile eSIM is fine, but you can't do 2 lines. AT&T, both lines are working. Verizon eSIM might not be working. Microsoft, yeah, they're waiting because they got to squeeze in a few extra bugs. That makes sense. I've set my Duo constantly in battery saver mode. Managed to get 5 hours of screen time. Battery finally died around 12 hours. Yeah, I mean, if you're, especially if it's like a secondary device, you can totally do that, and it'll be fine. I've seen people, when the crack starts to form, take just a little dab of super glue and try and let that hold it together. I did not try that. I wanted to just let it happen naturally, when I saw it starting to crack. I was like, I'm just going to let it go and let nature take its course. And that's what I did. But here's the good news. Like, it's cosmetically annoying, right? Like it doesn't look good. Not going to be able to get this to focus. Probably not in a million years. Like, it doesn't cosmetically look good, but, like, it doesn't affect anything, like it still charges just the same. Did any of you guys buy the stylus holder? I think you did, because I think my Amazon affiliate links indicated that I sold quite a few of those things. So I'd love to know if you guys bought any of them and if you liked it. Yeah, I've heard people asking me about that too. The AT&T calls Duo 2 an unknown device, and it, correct me if I'm wrong, is 5G working on AT&T? Someone told me that theirs wasn't because it was an unknown device. You think Duo needs a cover screen? I do not. I do not think it needs a cover screen. I'm totally fine with it not having one. Totally fine with no cover display. Doesn't bother me at all. No, I don't. I don't think that. I think it's a digitizer issue. I think that they used, if you look at the history of Duo, they were using a digitizer that when they went to Android, they had to port the drivers from whatever Windowsy thing it was to Duo, and that's why the touch response is bad. I think it is a hardware problem, and I think they can improve it, but I don't think that they can totally fix it. I need to email them, I guess. I'm gonna open up my email real quick and look for their email and see if I can reach out to them. I'm gonna do it right now. Ryan, send email from my work email. Duo 2, are you guys working on a dock for Duo 2? Question mark. Send. Right there. Live. Hopefully. I haven't found anything else. No one else sent me anything else. Not that I'm aware of. Also, thank you for your videos. You're single-handedly the only reason I actually bought this thing, because you're the only ones that still talks about it. One of the only ones crazy enough to still be talking about it, I think. I hope you like it, though. I hope you didn't buy it because of me, and then you hated it, and then you resent me. 5G isn't working for me on AT&T, but it's on my legacy plan. Current plan would increase by 4. Oh, okay. So they would make you pay $40 more. Yeah, no. What do you think of having a color e-ink screen on the front of Duo 2, or Duo 3? I'm open to any kind of cover display. I don't think that we need it, but if they were gonna do it, I don't know, that might be kind of cool, right? Low power use and so forth. I think that Duo 3 is gonna have probably about the same size battery, because I don't think you can get much more battery in there without making the thing even bigger. And I don't think that they want to do that. So I think it'll be pretty similar in size. So it's gonna just have to keep getting more efficient. So if they're gonna add a cover display, that would hurt. So maybe e-ink makes sense. I don't know. I think e-ink is something that needs to be utilized more in general. 5G work and activated AT&T eSIM as the data SIM. Good to know. Good. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear it. 5G works. Yeah, 5G works fine. It worked fine for me on T-Mobile, and then of course I'm using Mint Mobile, and it works great on there as well. By the way, I just want to tell y'all something. I made that video talking about Mint Mobile the other day, and just full transparency here, I got way more referral clicks than I anticipated getting. So if you were one of them, thanks, because I'm not gonna have a cell phone bill for a year and a half. So thanks a ton. I really like Mint, and that referral program is ludicrous. So if you are a Mint user, get your referral code and give it to people, because it is absolutely nutty. Why people want a cover display? Yeah, I'm with you there. I think that's kind of the point. Yeah, that's another point too. If you want a cover display, just do this and put it in your pocket like that, and then you have a cover display. And here's a great thing to think about too. Think about this. Any cover display solution they're going to come up with is going to have compromises, right? So if you put the cover display here, you can't because the camera. So then you're restricted to it's got to be below there, or it's got to be inside of here. And there's always going to be restrictions. Any cover display they're going to make, any cover display they're going to come up with is going to have compromises. That I think those compromises might always be worse than the compromises of just pocketing your Duo like this, which is why I don't think a cover display makes sense or is ever going to happen. Thank you for bringing that up, because I had that thought earlier in my head and then it left. Does Mint have a visual voicemail app? I don't think that it does. I don't think so. But one thing that I've discovered that I really like is that in the stock phone app now, you don't have visual voicemail, but it's just way better. Like, you can just go into, like, you don't have to call your voicemail in the stock app anymore. You can just go into the app and play them, and that's really good. So I don't think there's a visual voicemail, but voicemail is way better than it used to be. I used to put the original Duo in phone mode most of the day. Now with Duo 2, I'm scared to put it in my pocket. Yeah, I mean, I've wondered about that, right? Though, so like, you put it in phone mode, like, in the beginning, people were like, "Oh, it's gonna break it," and like, look, you can flex it. You can totally do that. Listen to the noise. But I don't think that's gonna break anything. I really don't. I think that glass has flex to it, and not as much. It's glass is harder than like steel, so it's not gonna, by harder, I've dug myself a hole. Steel can bend without breaking. Glass can't. The glass can bend a little bit. So, like, I don't think anything's going to happen. Did you see the Jerry Rig Everything video where he took it and he, like, slammed it together, like, super hard multiple times and nothing happened? That made me feel better. So I think it's more durable than people realize it is. My voicemail option disappeared after factory reset. Boy, that's weird. I don't know about that one. Let's see here. Are you talking about original Duo? Yes, the original Duo bumper made my device always act super, super weird. And I didn't want to use it because it pulls my pocket out when I take it out of my pocket, but two, it acted super, super weird. Color e-ink would be awesome on the front screen. Like I said, I mean, I like e-ink because of how efficient it is, but I don't know. I know that I need to get the pen and the cover to talk about it for you guys, but I gotta tell you, I'm not gonna use that pen. I'm just not, you know? Like, if I really needed to use the pen, I would have just done this. That battery is gonna last me till the end of time. And I mean, you're not, I mean, other than you're not getting the extra, like, protection, the same thing, really, you know? But I'm just not going to use the, I can't write. My handwriting's terrible. So, like, I'm not going to use that pen. So I just can't justify spending damn near $200 to get something I'm going to talk about in a video twice. And then that's going to be the end of it. Although there's speculation that coming up soon, that the button on the pen's going to do something. From Windows Central, Zach was talking about how that the button might actually start launching OneNote soon. That'd be pretty cool. Like, if I could pull the pen out and go click and launch OneNote and take a note, that'd be pretty slick. Kahuna. I will try my best. I will keep up the work. Will it be good work? I don't know. I'm going to keep posting videos. Got my Duo in February because of EU delay. You were the only source I have for news on the device. Thank you. I really do appreciate comments like that. Really, really do. Providing details was the end of that. I do appreciate that a lot. You guys are, I mean, like, it's kind of funny because, like, I don't know if you guys can tell, but, like, tech, and in particular, like, weird tech and things like Duo, like, I'm mildly obsessed with. And so it works out. Like, when people will ask me on Twitter and they'll DM me, and people that are, like, starting a YouTube channel, and they'll be like, you know, what can I do to get going? And I always tell them, you know, pick a niche and then cover it like a crazy person. Just cover it and just do it. You just have to do it. And I think that I'm uniquely qualified in that regard because I have a brain that allows me to dig very deep, and it allows me to obsess about something in a way that I don't get sick of it. Like, most people would just be like, enough with making videos about this device. I don't get that way because it's called a special interest, if you didn't know, and it's a It's a diagnostic criteria. So I'm just happy that I've been able to take something that is considered a symptom by some people, and I've turned it into a mechanism to make a living. So you guys have allowed me to do that, which is fantastic. It's great. It's the greatest thing. There's a Twitch streamer called Sweet Anita, and she's a gaming Twitch streamer, and she has Tourette syndrome. And she, how can I put this? She, rather than letting her Tourette syndrome be a problem for her, which it was for a lot of her life, she's making it public and she's owning it. And it has created, she's cool with like, yeah, you can laugh when funny things happen. And it works out great for her. So she's taken a disability and turned it into like a job. And that's fantastic. That's so cool. So stuff like that's very inspiring to me. Watching Jerry Rig violate is such a dude, it was really hard. And the sounds, like when he pulled out, I literally can't even like think about it. When he pulled out that box cutter, oh, I'm not gonna. You can go from there. It literally makes me nauseous thinking about it. The scraping, the horrible scraping. I haven't used the pen cover. I love it. Look, if you're like an artist or like a note taker, you take a lot of notes. Yeah, absolutely. Like me taking notes with a pen doesn't make sense because I need to be able to read my notes back to access them. Your brain reminds me of mine. I'm sorry to hear that. Terrible tragedy. I don't mean that. I'm fine. I'm fine. You're fine. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Still on the fence of getting it. Was watching your video where you mentioned issues in typing. Sometimes how bad is it? It's not that bad. It gets really overblown. Like it's like, let's see, how many times a day does the typing do something weird and makes me have to go back and just a few times a day? Like, it's really not that bad. When will Duo.2 2 be released? Don't know. Actually, got a comment earlier, I believe, from Alan, and I emailed them live on the stream. So we'll hopefully get an answer back at some point. Sarah Dici, I believe her name is pronounced Dici, like Peachy. She has OCD, and that made her channel successful. I was diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder in the 3rd grade. So, which I don't think I actually have OCD. I think what they were seeing were symptoms of, whether you want to call it Asperger's or level 1 autism spectrum disorder. It's the same thing. Little PSA for you. Same thing. I think that's what they were seeing. But when I was 10, 22 years ago, they really weren't looking at that in older kids and in kids that were verbal, and like I don't match the classic criteria. So they were like, OCD? It's one of those things like a lot of people, as they get misdiagnosed a lot of wrong things before someone's like, that's not, it's this. And then you're like, oh my God, that finally makes sense, because none of that other stuff made any sense at all. It's largely done me well too, I think. There's been trouble, but it's been, I wouldn't change it. It's who I am. I am who I am. I'm a little odd, but who wants to be like average and normal? Any word on when the OtterBox case will be released? Other than the bumper, no. I reached out to OtterBox and heard nothing. It's there in the Microsoft store, but they're not talking to anyone. OtterBox just does their own thing and they don't respond to you. They don't answer. So when it comes out, I reckon I'll just have to buy it, and I'll have to, here's what's going to suck. I'm going to have to buy it. Then I'm going to have to take off this bumper and then put that on and then test it and then probably go, that's too much bulk, and take it back off. Then I'm going to have to get some of that 3M adhesive and reattach this bumper and go back to it. But the things you do for love, of course. We're getting close to the 1 hour mark. So, OtterBox equals my, yeah, exactly. They're just doing their own thing. living in their own world. This is OtterBox's world. We simply live in it. Like I said, we're getting close to that hour mark. I don't know where we peaked at, but we've got like 36 people in here now. It never ceases to amaze me that 30-something people would like to hang out and talk to me and do this. So thank you for doing that. It is very cool. I appreciate it. We'll get a couple more questions or comments or concerns or whatever in here before we close things down, though. Kahuna. Do you believe Microsoft will release Android 11 for version to do it by year's end? Seems unlikely at this stage. Yeah, to recap again, it is done. It's in testing. And as long as nothing crazy happens, it should be out this month. Now, they could run into a bug, which causes them to be like, well, they got to work on it. Then that butts up against Christmas or Hanukkah, and then that gets pushed back. So that would be the scenario wherein that would happen. Can you ask Alan if Duo Dock 2 will work with OtterBox? I will. If I hear back from them, I will ask what kind of compatibility they're shooting for. I'll try to get as many details as I can if I hear back from them. I'm just going to guess here that what may be happening there is that if they just didn't get a Duo 2, which they may not have, that may be what's happening, because they weren't like a, how can I say this without sounding rude? They weren't like they are a proper business, but you know what I mean. They had the phone, the product didn't exist, so they 3D printed it, and then they sold them because they thought it was cool. I don't know that they're going to go get a Duo 2 just to make a Duo Dock 2 and go on. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Have you heard of anybody having screen issues on Duo 2 where the left screen blacks out like on the... Yes, I have heard some people say that happens. I have never had it happen to me a couple of times, but it's been basically I'd open up, I'm doing something. It does it'll say double tap to switch screens, and then about 2 seconds later or a second later, it'll just go back to working normally. So it would happen for like a second and a half and then correct itself. But generally speaking, like 99% of the time, not happening to me. I think it's happened like 2 or 3 times total. Keep up the great work. You're the only YouTube channel that I'm subscribed to. Wow. That's wild. What an honor. That's a crazy. How are you only subscribed to one YouTube channel? And why is it me? That's awesome. Thank you. With the original Duo, I see a lot of people have trouble with the one screen turning off, but I have trouble getting the back screen when I'm using it in phone mode to actually turn off. That's crazy. Yeah, I have the black screen glitch all the time, but you're having the opposite problem. It's the Duo. It's just going to do it at once. Surface Duo does what Duo wants. Do you think Duo will evolve into the old Microsoft Courier concept? I think it's the other way around. I think the Courier concept evolved into Duo. I think that's what happened. What is the backstory of your channel name? Yeah, there is a backstory. So, this is actually great. I'm glad you asked this. This is awesome. So, like 8 years ago, me and a few friends were talking, and there was a trend on Twitter that was the hashtag scary if literal. And the point of it was you're supposed to tweet with that tag something that would be scary if it were to be taken literally. So the one I always go back to is keep your eyes peeled. That would be very scary if it was meant literal. Peeling one's eyes, clearly not meant to be taken literally. So we went back and forth and just had fun being silly with this thing and coming up with different ones, right? And so then we, through our dumb conversations, I think we're funny. We have funny conversations, I thought. So I decided to try to record the conversations as a podcast, a conversational podcast. And we called that podcast Scary If Literal. And it was a disaster. It was really bad, and the audio quality was terrible, and it's just horrible. It was a really bad podcast. It had some funny moments, but it was just not good. So then started a gaming podcast with my wife, and that did pretty good. And then I started doing YouTube stuff, and then I got sidetracked on tech, and I just left the name. I figured like Google was a weird name. Now no one cares about it. The Nintendo Wii, then no one cared. But I just left it. The reason I'm glad you brought that up is because the idea to me of me and my friends taking a philosophical question and talking about it for 40 minutes and just being silly and just kind of, sorry, I'm typing while I can't do both. Just basically being silly and having these like really random tangential conversations percolated back up, and I decided to do it anew with better quality and so forth and so on. And that exists now as its own channel. It's called After Hours because it is nothing to do with this. It could be childish and crude and silly and hopefully funny and sometimes thought-provoking. And if you want to subscribe to that channel, it is very, very new and there's 2 videos on it. But if you want to hear me and my friends and my wife talk about really random stuff and be super duper weird, a sneak peek behind the scenes of maybe who I more am in a more natural setting, there's that. So thanks for asking that, because that let me promote another channel. The issue with the screen not turned off might be related to Bluetooth device it's connected to. That's interesting. I hadn't seen that. I have seen the Your Phone app letting the screens stay on when it's closed, but I've not seen that. We're at an hour. Guys, this has been fun as usual. I'm probably not going to post, if I keep doing the streams on Friday nights, I'm not going to push myself to then do another full video on Saturdays. So I've already been taking Sundays off for the most part. So if I'm going to do a stream Friday night, I think what I'll probably do is no video Saturday or Sunday. This will effectively be the Friday. Friday night will be the Saturday video. So Viper, come on, man. You made it. Glad to see you in here. A great YouTube channel. Good guy. Super helpful on Twitter. All around superstar guy. So yeah, probably no video tomorrow. If you guys are cool with that, it'll be later on. Pick back up again. News Radar Monday. Blah 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 blah. So it'll be a week Monday through Friday thing. So 6 videos, but Monday through Friday instead. So thank you. Appreciate it. Of course. So guys, I'll see you on the next one next week, or I'll see you on Monday for News Radar. Whatever. I gotta say the catchphrase though, right? Stay tuned for more content just like this. And until next time, thank you. Stay nerdy, my friends.